certain stem cell therapies, for example, one thing that I always highlight, very important one, is stem cell therapies for Parkinson's disease. Mm. This is something which was by no means my idea. This was already very much a twinkle in people's eye in the 1980s, certainly the 1990s. People started trying it, and they occasionally got it to work. And when it did work, it worked spectacularly well. But they couldn't get it to work reproducibly back then because we didn't know enough about how to manipulate stem cells. We do know that now. So there's half a dozen clinical trials going on right now to use stem cells to treat Parkinson's disease, and everyone's very optimistic. Yeah. Then senolytics. So we mentioned navitoclax, this drug that we used in our mouse experiment. There are other senolytics, and some of those are in clinical trials right now. And this will continue. As time goes on, we'll get more and more of these things moving into the clinic. I believe, within the next 5 years, most of the things that we're going to need will be in the clinic. But typically they will be in it in clinical trials individually, rather than being put together. And that's where the offshore situation comes in. So there are quite a lot of people right now who are interested in sidestepping and short-circuiting the regulatory bureaucracy and inertia that exists in pretty much all established jurisdictions, and in just getting on and trying things out that seem to have good evidence for safety and efficacy. And so, that's basically medical tourism. And that's been a big deal in terms of stem cell therapies for quite a while now. There are places in like Panama and Costa Rica and so on, which offer the kinds of things that you can't legally offer in the US. But it's going further than that now. In particular, gene therapies are becoming a big deal because we're getting better at gene therapy, both in terms of delivering new genes that the body doesn't have or that the body is not activating, and also in terms of what's called gene editing, which is the technology really spearheaded by this thing called CRISPR, which many people will have heard of. Anyway, all of that kind of thing is, very popular now, but a lot of enthusiasm for it. And so there are places around the world that are coming into existence offering this kind of thing. One particularly important one is a special economic zone in Honduras called Prospera. It's actually not on the mainland of Honduras. It's on an island off the coast called Roatan. And, it's only a couple of square miles or so, but they have clinics and companies that are incorporating there because it's, as I say, it's a special economic zone. And they're very much, aiming to become a global hub of medical tourism. However, I will say that that's not good enough. Essentially because medical tourism, pretty much by definition, is only available to a small number of people who have enough money to get there and to pay for things that are not paid by insurance and so on. So we absolutely need established jurisdictions to get on and do this too. And, we could say, well, okay, eventually this is going to happen because of FOMO. The established jurisdictions are just going to see that these other places are succeeding and they're going to try and follow suit. But that will take a long time. So I'm in much more of a hurry than that. And that's why I go back to my concept of making aging the new COVID. The thing is, if you'd asked anybody in 2019 whether there was any scenario that they could conceive of in which a vaccine for something or other would be developed and globally distributed in less than 1 year, they would have totally laughed at you. Because before then, the record was like 10 years, right? But it happened, and the only thing that it needed was the public to want it. The public were just not in favor of COVID. And so everything we thought we knew about, institutional inertia and regulatory bureaucracy and so on was just swept away. It just as if it had never existed. We need that kind of attitude with regard to aging, and I believe that we can get there.
It's the immediacy. I always think about COVID, like why it was just such an immediate desire to get ourselves out of that mess. But it feels like with aging, for the vast majority of us, it's just something in the distant future, and we don't have.
Well, that's right. That's right. It's psychological. It's psychological management, really. The fact is, aging has been something that we've been totally aware of since the dawn of civilization. And we've known that we couldn't do anything about it. And we have just found ways to put it out of our minds, either by pretending that it's not a disease, that it's somehow woven into the fabric of the universe and is essentially off limits to medicine, even in principle. Or, alternatively, pretending that it's some kind of blessing in disguise and that we shouldn't be messing with it. Both of which are complete nonsense. But the point is, it doesn't matter how irrational your rationalizations are for this, just as long as they work and they succeed in letting you get on with your miserably short life and not be preoccupied by this terrible thing that's going to happen to you. So that's the thing we have to break. That's what I call the pro-aging trance that we have to break out of. And the question is how. Now, of course, I've been, as I say, as you said, I've been up on stage and on camera a lot over the past 20-odd years, and it hasn't really worked very well. I mean, I've made some progress. I'm very proud of the extent to which I've helped build this community, but, it's still pitifully small. It's almost never that you have a conference in this space that attracts more than 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. So what can we do? My answer is there's one thing we can do. The final step of the chain of events is easy. Governments will do what the public demands because governments like to get re-elected. That's the easy part. The question is how to get the public to demand this. And logic doesn't seem to work. So the answer is influencers. I've been saying this for quite a long time. It dawned on me, 20-odd years ago that there was this crazy phenomenon where if Oprah Winfrey says, buy this book, everybody, well, not everybody, but an awful lot of people just go out and do it. Like that day. I mean, what? But that's what happens. And of course, now it's not just Oprah. You've got Joe Rogan and you've got, Lex Fridman and Mr. Beast and a number of other global influencers. So what I want to do is target those people. I want those people to be demanding an actual war on aging, a COVID-scale war on aging, which they're not doing yet. But what they are doing is expressing an interest in the topic generally. I've been on Rogan a couple of times. I've been on, David Sinclair's been on Rogan. And, it happens quite a bit. So they don't mind people knowing that they're interested in the topic. But being interested in one thing, demanding action is another thing. But they are in a position where they could if they wanted to. So I want to make them want to. And my approach to doing that is essentially to make progress in the laboratory, to do this robust mass rejuvenation thing.
Thanks for watching this Beyond Tomorrow clip. If you haven't subscribed yet to our main channel, join us there for conversations that can help you thrive today and flourish tomorrow. We'll see you next time.